Ever feel like we're living in some kind of political thriller? I mean, seriously. Today's deep dive is like straight out of the headlines. It's got me thinking, how safe is our election system, really? We're digging into this Politico article, right? And it's all about these Iranian hackers. They got indicted, big deal. But get this, they were targeting the Trump 2024 campaign. Now, we've all heard about hacking in elections before, but here's the real kicker. These guys didn't just steal info, they sent it to journalists.
Hmm.
And the Biden campaign. Wild, right? All right, so before we get into all that craziness, let's back up a sec. Timeline time. This whole thing went down earlier this summer, and the Trump campaign only fessed up to it after places like Politico started getting these leaked docs.
Hmm.
You're not going to believe this, but the article says these hackers, they got their hands on some seriously juicy stuff. We're talking internal campaign messages, strategy docs, even a whole research dossier on
Yeah.
JD Vance, Trump's running mate. So they've got this gold mine of insider info, right? What they do with it? Well, sending it over to the Biden campaign. And get this was before Harris was even in the running for VP. I mean, talk about a head scratcher, right?
Yeah. No kidding. It definitely makes you wonder what they were hoping to achieve. I mean, was this just about stirring up trouble, trying to make the Trump campaign look bad? Or could there be something more to it? Maybe they were trying to influence the election somehow. It's tough to say for sure, but it's definitely something to think about.
For sure, and we're definitely going to circle back to those motives a little later. But first, let's talk about the HOW. The article keeps mentioning this spear phishing thing.
Yeah.
What is that exactly, and how does it even work in these high-stakes situations?
Okay, so imagine this. You're working on a presidential campaign, right? Tons of emails every day. Things are moving fast. Now, picture getting an email that looks like it's from your boss or someone you really trust on the campaign, and they're asking you to, say, click on a link or download a file. Seems harmless enough, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The article says that a high-ranking official on the Trump campaign, they fell for it, got tricked by one of these phishing emails. These hackers, they know what they're doing. They do their research. They make the emails look totally legit so you don't even think twice. And all it takes is one wrong click, and boom, they're in. Access to all kinds of sensitive information. Scary stuff.
Makes you think twice about clicking those links, huh? Even when you think you know who they're from.
No kidding. And it's not just about campaigns and elections. This spear phishing thing, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah, so like regular people can get targeted too, not just like big shot politicians and stuff.
So absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not by, government hackers or anything, but the stuff they use for spear phishing, those tricks, they're all over the place. Criminals use them to try and steal your info, your passwords, even your money sometimes.
Yikes. Okay, so that's a good reminder then, right? Always double check those emails, even if they look official.
Exactly. Take a close look at that sender's address, hover over those links before you click anything. And if someone's asking for your personal info out of the blue, huge red flag, don't do it.
Solid advice. Okay, so back to this article. The Biden campaign getting those stolen files, that really threw me. Like, the article says they didn't do anything with the info, but still.
Yeah.
Kind of shady, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Ethically speaking, it's a minefield. I mean, on the one hand, they didn't ask for this stuff, right? It just kind of landed in their lap. But on the other hand, ignoring it completely, they could be missing out on some key intel about their opponent, even if I kind of messed up how they got it.
Right. Talk about a dilemma. What would you do in that situation? It's like a lose-lose almost.
Totally. And honestly, it brings up a much bigger issue that we see playing out all the time. Foreign countries meddling in elections, this whole thing with Iran, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, the article mentioned something about that. U.S. intelligence agencies warning about this kind of stuff happening.
Exactly. The article specifically calls out Iran, but also Russia and China. They're all trying to mess with U.S. elections, one way or another. And it's not just talk, either. They've got the skills and the resources to pull this stuff off. They're a real threat to democracy, plain and simple.
So it's not just like paranoia or something. This is actually happening.
Oh, it's happening, and it's been happening for a while. Remember what went down in 2016 with the Russians and all that?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
So back then, the Russians had this whole operation going on, the Internet Research Agency, it was called. They used social media to spread fake news, stir up arguments between voters, this whole thing. And get this, the article says they're at it again this year. Just the other day, the Justice Department charged these two Russian media guys. Apparently, they were funneling money to American far-right influencers, trying to get them to push pro-Trump, anti-Ukraine stuff online. It's like a whole new world of information warfare out there.
It's kind of creepy when you think about it, like how much IS out there that we don't even know about. And the timing of it all just seems sus, you know? I mean, this hack happened months ago, right? But these indictments, they drop right as the election's heating up. Makes you wonder. Coincidence? Or something more?
Yeah, I see what you mean. The timing is definitely interesting. Like, what were they waiting for? Is it all about maximum impact, trying to shake things up just for that moment? It's hard to say, but it definitely makes you think.
And here's another thing that's got me scratching my head. The article, it said something about these Iranian hackers, right? Like, they're probably never going to see the inside of a U.S. courtroom. So if they're not even worried about getting caught, what's the point of indicting them anyway?
Good question. I mean, it does make you wonder how effective that kind of action really is, especially with all this online stuff, right? It's not like you can just, extradite some hacker from across the world that easily. So is a slap on the wrist enough to stop this stuff from happening again? Or do we need to, rethink the whole system? Maybe some kind of global task force or something.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
No kidding. It's a whole different world out there. And it makes you realize, if a presidential campaign with all their money and security and everything, if they can get hacked, what about regular people like us?
Right. It's a scary thought. We're all so plugged in these days, so reliant on technology. It makes you realize how vulnerable we really are.
So what can we do about it? I mean, besides just hiding under a rock and hoping the internet goes away?
Well, the first step is awareness, right? Knowing what to look for, those phishing scams, suspicious links, all that. A little bit of caution goes a long way. And then, we got to make our voices heard. Hold those tech companies accountable. Demand better security, more transparency. It's our data, our privacy, our elections. We got to fight for it.
Couldn't agree more. Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. And maybe a little paranoia on the side. But hey, better safe than sorry, right? As always, thanks for joining us for another deep dive into, well, the deep end of the internet. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe out there.